Hey, Vote Today people. I just wanted to let you know as I'm starting this channel, there's some tools that help me use a better way to get into listen to politicians and then review to make sure they don't lie to us. And one of these apps that I use is Otter, and it's basically it records everything that's said and it transcribes it in real time. So as you're listening, you can look through the words, take snippets out, and everything. So right now, to show you in demonstration, I'm going to play the Dallas mayoral forum that was produced early this month. Listen in, and when it's all over, I'll tell you how to get the app and what to do next.
To Cliff Temple Baptist Church. I'm Brent McDougall, and I'm the senior pastor here. And on behalf of our church, we want to issue you a warm welcome. We are so glad to have such a great group of Dallas people coming out to hear our candidates for mayor tonight. I'm excited for this event, and I hope that you are as well. Cliff Temple has been in the neighborhood for about 120 years. We have seen a lot of change happen all over the years, and all through those years, Cliff Temple has wanted to be just a great community partner and a resource. And so tonight we celebrate the opportunity to come together and hear from the candidates for mayor. And I just want to say a word of thanks to all those that have stepped forward, willing to serve, willing to put themselves out there. And I want to thank you for being here tonight as well, because I believe we're all here for the same reason. We love our city. We want to see the best for our city, and we want to make wise choices. So again, welcome tonight. We're glad you're here.
Thank you, Brett. Also, welcome for being here. My name is Rick Shanahan, and I am the current president of Heritage Oak Cliff. And thank you. And so Heritage Oak Cliff, formerly Old Oak Conservation. I did this 3 times in UNESCO. Still mess it up. Old Oak Cliff Conservation League is a coalition of 30 plus Oak Cliff neighborhood associations and has advocated for Oak Cliff neighborhoods for over 40 years. We're here tonight to fulfill our part of the mission, which is to increase communication on issues of concern for our neighbors and our residents. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Tom Forte.
I'd like to thank Sophia Rollins and Barbara Yvette, the team here at Cliff Temple Baptist Church, for all the hard work they've done in getting us ready for this forum tonight. I'd also like to thank Ken Caldwell and the team at Channel 5 for live streaming the event on their website, so you could watch this later or also share this with your friends. And also we have the team from Echo Latino Radio who have been a partner with us throughout all of the forums that we've done, and they've been streaming every event, all of the 7 events that we've scheduled. I'd like to thank Rick Shanahan and his team at Keller Williams for providing the programs tonight, which include bios on all the candidates that are here before you, so they'll help you in terms of knowing more about their background. And then finally, in terms of thanks, I'd like to thank the team that put together all of these forums. That includes Amanda Johnson, Mary Harrison, Becky Lewis, Elliot Hijack, and Sandra Aldridge. Thank all of you for your hard work. We appreciate all the candidates too for making themselves available tonight to answer your questions so that you can make an informed choice. And you have an opportunity in this election to early vote. Early voting starts on Monday, April 22nd and runs through Tuesday, April 30th. So you have those days to early vote. And then if you don't make it during early vote, election day, remember, is on a Saturday, May 4th. So with our 7 series of candidate forums, we're at our 5th one now, and we have 2 remaining. And I hope you'll come out for these, because these are DISD trustee elections. And education is so important. And of course, course, one of the candidates is serving as a trustee today on the DISD school board. So I encourage all of you to come out on Thursday night, April 11th, in Yates Hall at the Tyler Street United Methodist Church on 10th Street in Oak Cliff for the DISD D7 race, of which one of the candidates is Dr. McDougall here from the church. And then on next Tuesday night, we have the DISD D5 race, which is Tuesday, April 16th, and it will be held at the Moreland YMCA. So you can go to our website, www.heritageoakcliff.org, for more details on all these events. And I'd like to introduce Ken Kalthoff, who's our moderator tonight. We'd like to thank Ken for serving as the moderator for this event. Ken is an NBC Channel 5 reporter and anchor covering Dallas City Hall, local politics, and general assignments. He joined NBC Channel 5 in January of 2000. Prior to joining Channel 5, he was a reporter and anchor at other television stations in Dallas, Houston, Tampa, Orlando, and my native Mobile, Alabama. He has received, for Mobile. He has received several Emmys and numerous other awards over the years. Highlights of his career include reporting on U.S. Marines in Beirut, Lebanon, and being embedded with the Marines during the U.S. invasion of Iraq. So with that, please give a warm welcome to Ken Kalthoff.
Hello everyone, thank you so much. It's really my privilege to be here, and it's very impressive to see such a nice group of folks here anxious to listen to what these folks have to say. As they've all been saying, it's very important. We have a really big city here, we have some issues, and so we're going to talk with them about it tonight. And I can explain to you the format that we're going to use. We're going to give everyone 1 minute for an opening statement. We're going to ask a lot of questions. Many of them are questions that you've turned in on cards, and we have people that have been gathering those cards, and I will ask some of those questions. We aren't going to be able to ask every question because there's only a limited period of time until about 8 o'clock they want us to be finished. And then we'll give everyone a minute for a closing statement at the end, so we'll reserve a little time for the folks to wrap up. And so we have everyone seated in ballot order, the order that they drew lots to be on the ballot. Lynn McBee, Scott Griggs, Mike Nevlin, Miguel Solis, Regina Montoya, Albert Black, and Steve Smith. I have met all of you except Mr. Smith. I have not met you before, but it'll be our privilege to hear what you have to say tonight. And so why don't we get started and start with the opening statements and start with Lynn McBee.
Well, thank you for coming tonight. I'm Lynn McBee, and I'm running for the mayor of Dallas. And very quickly, I was born and raised in Freeport, Texas, a small town on the Gulf Coast. Went to public school, then went to UT Austin, have a degree in biochemistry, worked for a biotech company and helped grow that biotech until I decided that I was going to have a career change. And for the last 5 years, I've been working with underserved first-generation girls to get them to and through college, partnering with ISDs, partnering with the school, the Irma Ron Hell Young Women's Leadership School here in Dallas. And it's work that has just moved me that I've loved. I've also worked very hard for the last 25 years in our city on homelessness, domestic violence, human trafficking, work with the Dallas County Community College District, and things that really impact people's lives every day. Working as a volunteer, grassroots, serving on boards and chairing boards, having a collaborative leadership style of working together and getting things done. I think right now in the city, we need people that are collaborators, that are listeners, that work hard on tough issues, bring people together and get things done. I look forward to sharing my ideas and priorities for the city, but as someone that grew up in a small town, we need to make sure that we've got that neighborly spirit in this big city, and it's an honor to be here tonight. Thank you for coming out.
Good evening, how are y'all doing? It is great to be here. As many of you know, my name is Scott Griggs, and I'm running to be the next mayor of the city of Dallas. I'm a lifelong Dallasite who's had the privilege and honor of serving on the Dallas City Council representing Oak Cliff for the last 8 years. Thank you. And that's given me an opportunity to work with people throughout the city of Dallas. And I know together there's not a problem we can't solve, an opportunity we can't seize. I have more faith than ever in you, the people of the city of Dallas. That's why I'm running to be your next mayor. I I recognize we need a change. For far too long, we've had mayors that have solely focused on Dallas, the postcard, the fancy bridges, the convention center hotel, the horse park where you've probably never ridden a horse at, the golf course where you've never played a round of golf. Well, it's time for a change. We need a new kind of mayor, a mayor that's going to focus on Dallas, a city we live in. Dallas, a city that works for all of us. And I know with our shared values we can accomplish this. We believe in transparency and accountability in government, safe, strong neighborhoods, and a renewed focus on what matters. High wages, particularly for our police officers and firefighters. Taking care of our streets, our parks, and our rec centers. It's time to get back to the basics. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Mike Avalon. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you for coming. Dallas, a great city, should and can and will hold an opportunity for all of us. When my family came here 5 generations ago, it held that promise. It's our obligation to maintain that promise for our children. That we can talk about a city of one Dallas, not east, west, north, or south, but one Dallas. One Dallas that we start to build for tomorrow, and we need to do it today. We should be making bridges out of barriers. We need to focus on neighborhoods. We all know that. We are lacking trust right now in City Hall. We all know that. We need a very strong ethics reform. Tonight I'm going to talk about ideas, and everything I say will go back to the same set of ideas. These can only be done together. We need to build bridges out of barriers. We need to be building for tomorrow today. We need to be talking about one Dallas. We need to have ethics reforms so that we have trust. And that will build great neighborhoods, and I look forward to talking about it together. Thank you very much.
Good evening, and thank you for having us all here this evening. Good luck, Dr. McDougall, on your race for school board. I hope you know what you're getting yourself into. Listen, my name is Miguel Solis, and I'm the grandson of immigrants that came to this country fleeing the Mexican Revolution, one as a refugee and the other seeking economic opportunity. And when they got to Texas, they met each other, fell in love, had 4 kids, my dad included. And when my father was 2, my grandfather passed away in a chemical spill. So my grandmother, with 4 kids now, was left with little hope. 4th grade education, speaking nothing but Spanish. But as I reflect back on her experience now, there was an infrastructure of opportunity that was real for her and my dad that allowed them still, despite the challenges, to thrive. A great education, good housing, jobs that paid a fair wage, public transportation that got them where they needed to go on time, and a safe community. And because that infrastructure existed for them, today I stand before you as a former DISD teacher, a former DISD central administrator, and a current Dallas school board member, having been elected in 2013 at the age of 27, and at 28 being the youngest board president in the history of Dallas Independent School District. Those things happened for me because that infrastructure of opportunity was real, and I'm running for mayor to rebuild that infrastructure for future Dallasites as well. I'll talk more about that a little bit later on this evening. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be with all of you this evening, and thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight as well. This is an important election, and it's going to change and what we see for years to come here in Dallas. My vision for Dallas is this. I want to build upon the successes of Dallas and ensure that everyone has the opportunity to achieve his or her highest dream. People are our greatest resources, and what we need to invest is ensure that we're investing in people. So just a little bit about me. My grandfather went into the coal mines when he was 13. My father was the first person in his family to graduate from high school, go on to college, and he did that on the GI Bill because he served in World War II. Met my mother, and they got married. My mother didn't get to go to college, and so she went back to school with 4 kids, got her degree. This is what my parents told me. You can live the big, bodacious dreams. Live those dreams. And I went on to college and to law school up in Boston. But Dallas was the dream city. I met my husband in Boston. We came back here. We spent our entire adult lives here in Dallas. And we had our family here. We also were able to become lawyers. And I worked in a law firm. I've been the general counsel at Children's Medical Center. I've also been the vice chair of the DFW Airport Board. Many other areas, including the Mayor's Task Force on Poverty. We'll talk more about that later, but thank you for this opportunity to be with you. Thank you.
Hello. Rev McDougal, thank you so much for having us here at Cliff Temple. What a wonderful church. I've heard from about years and years with friends like Paul and Vicky Cardarella. I'm here in the church now and I see why they're so excited. My name is Albert Block and I've been in Dallas, Texas all my life. My wife and I met when we were about, I guess we must have been about 2 months old when we first met. Together we've grown and developed in Dallas, Texas in order for us to be the kind of entrepreneurial leaders that we wanted to be in town. The kind of entrepreneurial leaders that my father would talk about being a doorman at the Baker Hotel. I hope I'll get a chance tonight to talk to you about the civic resume that we built over the years, the kind of business resume that allowed us to employ people, improve infrastructure, and add to the tax base. You see, we have 3 issues that we're running on. Good governance, that's number 1. We have a crisis in Dallas, Texas that's now these candidates are talking about, and I'm happy about that. Good governance is something that I want citizens to start talking about more. If you do, I've got a real chance in this election. It's because without good governance, we'll all fail. Good evening, my name is Steve Smith, and I am a late addition to the panel here, and the reason is I'm a write-in candidate. I'm not on the ballot. So to vote for me, you're going to have to remember Steve Smith. My background professionally is I worked for NASA helping put Neil Armstrong on the moon. I'm an engineer. I'm an aerospace engineer. I left that career about 30 years ago to go into the investment business, managing large pools of money for large governments. Our company that I started managed over $3 billion. So I know how to handle big amounts of money. The reason that I'm running, though, is because of this. Go Green Dallas. I am a single issue candidate. I care about public services and I care about the things that you care about, but the thing I care about most is creating a 12,000 acre Trinity Nature Park and land that is owned by the city within the levees area, within what they call a Great Trinity Forest, and to make that into a national park. I've talked to National Park Service. They're interested in doing that. Create a nature-based tourism industry in this part of town, hiring people in this part of town to be park rangers, to manage some of the hotel properties that would be there, and to improve the quality of life for everybody here in Dallas. So you'll learn more about that as we go along, but thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I failed to mention at the beginning, too, that we do have actually 3 more candidates on the ballot who aren't here. And they are Allison Kennedy, Jason Villalba, and Eric Johnson. They weren't able to make it, so you'll have to bone up on them on your own. They aren't here. Tonight, though, we are going to use a lot of these questions that we've received from you all, and you have asked some really wonderful questions, and there's no way we're going to get through them all. But I've made the choice to start with police, because I think that that is an issue that people care about a great deal right now. There have been issues with response time, manpower. One of you put it this way: what plans do you have to encourage and properly pay our beleaguered police department? But I think that perhaps that's just one aspect, and so I want to hear from each of you about your plans for the Dallas police and for crime. And we could start with Mr. Smith this time.
Sure, thank you for that question. We get that at almost all the forums because that seems to be the issue that is at the front of everybody's mind. Public safety. How can I be safe in this city? We all know that the number of police officers has declined from 3,500 down to 3,000 while the population's increased. So there are fewer public safety officers per person now than any time in the last several decades. How do we fix that? Well, one way we can fix it is to increase the pay of our officers. Right now, most of the suburbs around Dallas pay more to their police officers than they do in Dallas, and the jobs in Dallas oftentimes are more complicated. So if you live out in Garland or Duncanville, you can live out there where you will work, and you'll have a simpler job and paid more. So why would you not do that? So we've got to increase the pay. How do we do that? There are several ways that we can do it. My job with NASA was to improve the efficiency of some of the parts of our space program. I am an efficiency expert. I have studied the the efficiency of the city government, and based on surveys that are done by third-party surveys, that Dallas has about 25% more employees than our peer group. It includes San Diego, Phoenix, Houston, Fort Worth. We make those jobs more efficient, take the money, put it into our public safety officers, and we increase the public safety of our city. That's what I would do. Thank you.
You know, 36 years of hiring people, I found out something. People stay on jobs for three different reasons. It's the three incomes that they expect. One is a psychological income. They want to feel good about what they're doing, who they're doing it with, and the impact that it's having on community. The second reason is because they feel like they're getting a superior education and training that enables them to be good at what they're doing today, tomorrow, and in the future. The third thing is financial compensation. All those things together, and we have an opportunity to have a police force with morale that they can feel good about the job that they're doing again. But the first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to fix the pension fund issue. I've suggested that the pension fund can be fixed, but we're going to have to take immediate action and not think that we can go to an airport, liquidate it over a monetization strategy that will take years and years and years of negotiations. I think that this city needs to go on and belly up to the bar and issue pension obligation bonds to get this circumstance out of the way. Didn't start this process out thinking this way, but I've learned, listening and learning to police officers all across our city and beyond.
I will have a several-pronged approach to retention and also to hiring. One of the problems that we have right now is that we have not been competitive in our salaries, and we need to ensure that these salaries are competitive, and that will be the first part of this entire plan. The second is ensuring that we have the insurance, and we have benefits that are gold standard. Right now, they're not. I mentioned to you that I was the former general counsel at Children's Medical Center. We need to ensure that we have preventive type opportunities as well, and we don't right now. We need to ensure that we have that, and I will make sure that we are. The third part is better using our land bank. Right now, the city of Dallas owns many properties that they have, and it's called a land bank. I want to start using that land bank, creating housing that is affordable for police officers. Because the starting salary is $60,000, I would have that at $180,000 or less for these homes. First responders would have the first opportunity to be able to buy these homes. The second group would be teachers. And I want to make sure that we are also retaining our police officers, and I want to be sure that we continue community policing. If we do not increase the number of officers in Dallas, our community policing programs will not be as strong as they need to be to ensure that we have respect going both ways. Thank you.
Public safety is essential as I think about rebuilding the infrastructure of opportunity for our community. On day one, having had to balance a $1.5 billion budget at the Dallas Independent School District, I'll issue something that we've done before there, and that's a Citizens Budget Review Commission, because if you increase pay, you got to decrease somewhere else. We'll go through that process identifying in the budget if we can do that, but let's say we couldn't, hypothetically. Let's help our officers stretch their dollars further. Many of our police officers don't live in this city, and the reason they don't, they love to, they can't afford to live in this city. So I'll look at the budget from the economic development side of the budget and tap into those dollars to create something called the Community Heroes Initiative. We'll issue low-interest loans to officers that want to relocate or start their family and their home here in Dallas, and we'll forgive those after 10 years under good conduct. Second, if you're a new officer, when I moved to Dallas, I moved to the Village, the Ellis Island of Dallas. And when I got there, I got to break off my rent because I was a DISD teacher. Let's do the same thing for police officers in a unique public-private partnership. Additionally, why don't we grow our own police force from this city? If that sounds too crazy, guess what? It's already being done at Carter High School in a partnership between DISD, the Dallas County Community College District, and UNT Dallas, and DPD. I will expand that program to each quadrant of the city so that we are finally growing our own police officers from our city, who look like our city, who know our city like the back of their hand. That's how we'll begin to solve this issue.
If you didn't get a chance this morning, you ought to read the Dallas Morning News on your way home tonight. They address this. This is one of the few issues that everybody that's on the stage agrees on. We're short on officers. Not only are we short, our attrition rate over the last 2 months has been 215 officers. Those are tenured officers. But in that article, I chose not just to talk about quantity, I chose to talk about quality. When all of us go through an airport, we see somebody in military fatigues, we all say the same thing. What do we say? Thank you for our service. We all say the same thing. That's appreciation and respect. Why do you take a job? Why do you stay in a job? Appreciation, respect, a sense of destiny, and pay. We absolutely have to have pay. We have shorted our officers on leadership in 2 ways. We do not have the leadership at the senior ranks of the police department, and City Hall hasn't backed them up. Quality and quantity. We've talked about quality, pension obligation bonds, a pension fund, pay. It's all real. It is absolutely correct. But if we don't fix the quality issue, then we have not served them the way they've been trying to serve us. We have great men and women. We really need to take care of them more than just money.
Public safety is a priority for me. Before the pension crisis, we had 3,600 officers. After the pension crisis, 2,900 officers. I served on the Dallas Police and Fire pension system and helped uncover the corruption there and save the pension system from going bankrupt and saving the city from economic ruin. Now we have to continue to increase our police force. This last budget, I was the leader on the council that raised police pay from $48,000 starting pay to $60,000 and gave a 3% across the board raise. I can find the money in the budget. We slashed the economic boondoggles like giving Costco $3 million. Like the standing wave that's an absolute failure and cost us $6 million. And we reprioritize on what's important to us, officer pay. This next budget, we need to get up to $72,000. Then beyond that, police officers, firefighters need a seat at the table when we negotiate health care benefits next year. Then we need to shore up the pension fund. No one running this campaign is more experienced than me with the pension system. I understand how to shore it up. And my policies are resonating with first responders. My campaign has been endorsed by the Dallas retired police officers, as well as the Dallas retired firefighters. Thank you.
Public safety is my #1 priority. Currently, we know that we're down about 30% in officers, so it's about recruiting and retaining what we have right now. We've talked about needing to raise the pay. We need to look at a comprehensive benefits package that provides the mental health services that our officers need, and we also need to look at shoring up the pension. How are some ways that we can do that? One of the ways right now is we can become an outside trainer for outside police departments. Currently, we invest in each officer that comes to train with DPD. If you train with DPD, you don't have to stay with DPD right now. So I would say right away, like when you are with the military, you've got to give back, you've got to agree to stay 3 years. But we've become an outside trainer for other departments. So you can think about training Grand Prairie's department, you can think about training Fort Worth. That would be a new revenue stream in for us. I'd also like to see us build a new police academy down with UNT Dallas to what Miguel just talked about, and we could train more homegrown officers so we could start that recruitment and retention at the same time. And then when we talk about long-term ways to shore things up, new revenue streams, short-term being training officers, long-term, if we tapped out at DFW Airport, it would take some time, but we could realize $5.8 billion. We could shore up the pension, start to have a public safety trust fund, and really start to look at the longevity of how we systematically change the situation that we're in. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn McBee. One Dallas city councilman, a former councilman, was sentenced to prison last week. Another former council member is waiting to be sentenced to prison, having pled guilty to corruption. It's a problem, and one of you asked the question this way: what will be done to clean up the corruption and alleged corruption within Dallas city government? A question for all of you, starting with Lynn McBee.
So I've led my life with honesty and integrity my whole life, and so this is something that we have got to, right now at City Hall, establish a culture of honesty. We've got to make sure that we've got everyone around the horseshoe having and signing a code of conduct. We've then got to make sure that when people come to do business with the city, lobbyists, developers, whoever's there on city business, they're signing out and there's a log. Then we need to have another level where we're actually taping, and we're taping executive session, and we're taking it to that higher level. And then finally, what we need to do is we're going to have something punitive. I mean, there've got to be consequences for breaking rules. If we start to have consequences for breaking rules, then this will stop. It's kind of like if you're going into a 7-Eleven and you see a camera and you see a sign that says shoplifters will be prosecuted. You might not decide you're going to go there. We've got to start putting some barriers up that are going to deter this type of activity. But we've got to look at being punitive and making sure that we are holding ourselves accountable, and that's the elected officials, but it's also the people that are doing business with the city, them accountable too. It's got to be all the way around. It can't be just one side. So those are the 4 things that I would do. Thank you.
Ethics and transparency are a priority. I have a 4-part plan to restore trust in City Hall. First, on line tech deals, we've had low-income housing tax credit deals from Dwayne Caraway to Carolyn Davis to Don Hill have all gone to prison over those. It's time to put a rule in place that developers and council members cannot talk while those deals are being negotiated and cannot talk about them until they are briefed at the Dallas City Council for a vote. Number 2, it's time to follow the money. We need to have a single electronic searchable database with an easy-to-understand dashboard that shows the developers giving contributions, shows the developers who have an interest in a case, shows who is lobbying who and lobbying who when. Number 3, we need not only lobbyists to turn in reports, we need council members to turn in reports about who is lobbying them and have that electronic database as well. And lastly, it's time to open the door on closed-door executive sessions. Those should all be recorded at City Hall. And then, once there's no reason to keep the matter secret, we release the tape to the public so you see what happens behind closed doors. Taking these 4 steps into policy for ethics and transparency will restore trust in City Hall, which I am committed to do. Thank you.
I spoke about when I opened, and I spoke about it a lot because it's very important. I talked about trust. Deep trust, deep trust. When laws were written to match ethics, and over time the ethics stayed here. That's what my grandmother taught me. And law came down here. We need to change our laws. We need an ethics code. Not just when somebody steals money, that's criminal. We need to raise the ethics bar so it gets treated in a parallel manner and it raises the bar. That's number 1. Number 2, right now, how does it work? Who's judge and jury of city council? City council. We need to remove that and have a third party review it and have the full right to judge it and review it. And lastly, what are the penalties? Right now, what are the penalties? A censure? A censure? A $500 fine? It's nothing. It's not right. That doesn't work in private business. It doesn't work in your family, and it should be different. We need to make the penalties extremely punitive. Be clear, we have some great people at City Hall. We have some people with integrity that work really hard. We need to put up the guardrails. You want to believe in the goodness of people, but we need to put up those guardrails to protect our city. That's how we're going to get there. Take ethics back up to law, third-party review, and real penalties.
We certainly need comprehensive ethics reform in our city. We can start that by looking at the city code of ethics to begin with. And right now, there is a lot of gray area. There are a lot of loopholes. There are things that fall through the cracks, and you ultimately find yourself being able to wrangle yourself out of trouble if you know the right people in City Hall, even if you're a council member. And we're not just hearing about corruption. We're also hearing about people who refuse to pay fines that are due. Snubbing their nose at what they signed on to do when they became a council member. And we do this as if it's just okay, that no one's going to care about this, that the average Dallas taxpayer and voter is not paying attention. We need integrity. We need ethics. And so I'll lead our city in an ethics review. We will get professionals who will scrub through this, remove the council from it, and make sure that we tighten up any loose ends. Also, I agree with Mr. Avalon when it comes to who is the judge and who is the jury. We need to remove City Hall and City Council from investigations specifically as it relates to the council and your mayor if it ever got to that point, and make sure we have objectivity. And lastly, let's scrub these donations. It's absurd that we have kids and others that donate to people without that ever being checked. We can professionalize the campaign contribution process as well.
At the outset, in the question that was posed, there were consequences to people, and there were laws on the books that were actually finally, someone had actually done some reviews. This is the problem, is that we frequently wait for others to be doing that, federal authorities, investigative reporters to do this for us. We need to be policing ourselves in the city. We need an Office of Professional Responsibility within the City Attorney's Office that is actually reviewing these items and giving reports that will come back to the City Council so that all of you can see that, because those are allowed and those are actually covered by the various ones that we have. And so the issue then is we need more accountability, but we need transparency. Right now, it is so difficult to go through the materials of the City Hall because they are absolutely done this way. They're opaque. You can't get through them. This is why we need a better scrubbing of this. We need to have more review, having all of our meetings that are open, and most importantly, we need to start policing ourselves, and we need to have an Office of Professional Responsibility that is actually going through this and having reports. I would do that on a quarterly basis, having that information, and then on all the contracts, there is no reason that we can't better understand who it is that is lobbying, who it is that is involved in the process. That's the transparency we need, objective information. Thank you.
You know, from the very beginning, when we launched our campaign back in July 21 of last year, we did so early and outside of political conventions because we wanted to give you more opportunity to get the chance to know, like, appreciate, and trust us. You see, we don't know enough about the people that we're sending down to the Dallas City Council. We have to ask the question as citizens: who are they? Where did they come from? And who sent them? When we answer those questions, we can see corruption coming along the way. We're not going to come up with any kind of ethics reform that's going to stop the kind of bad behavior that we've had. I've been on 3 different ethics reform committees because mayors have asked me to serve there. There's a lot of hard work that goes on. It has never ever done the trick. The reason it hadn't done the trick is the same reason amending the 10 Commandments wouldn't make the Bible a better book. You see, people know what's right and what's wrong. But when you have powerful people with unlimited money financing bad behavior, you're going to continue to help. So I'm asking voters to stand up against that powerful money and say, that's not the city we want to live in anymore.
Let's talk about political contributions, political donations. In my view, there are 2 main reasons that people will donate to a political campaign. The first is they're your friend or they like what you stand for. The second is they want influence when you get in office, and they want to use that influence to help themselves. We just had our report this past week. We all had to report the donations that we received. I was the only one that took no donations. I'm self-financing this campaign because I know that you sometimes can't tell the motivation that people have for donating to you. And it's only when you get in office and you find out that they really are trying to get a favor that you have to go through the ethical decisions that they're all talking about policing. What I say is don't take donations. I'm not taking them. And we're running a good campaign. We're not doing yard signs. I think that's a form of pollution. We're using electronic social media to get our word out to people. And the main reason is that I think people have an ethical right to have elected officials that they don't have to worry about who they're meeting with and why they're meeting with them. And I'm one of those guys. Thank you.
We've received so many questions from you, it's going to be impossible to ask them all. But what I'm going to do is combine some of these because many of you are talking about the same things. And one area that's very big is gentrification. You're asking about gentrification. Some of you feel as though we still have a very segregated city. Affordable housing is an enormous problem. It's very difficult to find a decent place to live if you're not making a lot of money in some parts of our city. And one of you brings it down to the idea of how do we make Dallas one city? And I'm going to pull an audible here, and I'm going to decide that this is a big question, and it's pretty hard to answer. So I think we should give them 90 seconds on this answer, because this is a very all-encompassing issue, affordable housing, segregation, one city. And it's time to start with Mr. Smith.
Okay, let's talk about how we bring people together. And we all know, even though we may not want to talk about it, we know that the issue is there's a northern part of Dallas and there's a southern part of Dallas. And it's divided primarily by the Trinity River. And the people in the northern part of Dallas live really well on average, and they have really good neighborhoods on average. The people in the southern part of Dallas usually don't. So how do you fix that? And we have a mayor that has what he is calling the Grow South campaign, and he's in the very end of year 8 of all of that. And he's got all various ways of reporting on the progress that he's making, but from what I see looking around, there's really not a lot of progress, 8 years worth of work. So how do you fix that? Well, one way is to give people in the northern part of Dallas a reason to come into the southern part of Dallas. Get them to come down here so they can mingle with the people who live down here. And the way I would do that is take this 12,000 acres that the city owns, make the Trinity Nature Park out of that, create a nature-based tourism industry so the people in the northern part of Dallas don't have to drive to Colorado, drive to New Mexico to take their kids to a nature place. They just drive down Interstate 45. So that's the way I would do it. And I would further that by creating jobs in the southern part of Dallas that would service that nature-based tourism industry. So you bring the people from the north down to here, you get them mingling with the people here, and I spend a lot of time down here. I love this part of town. I love the forest. So you get them down here, and then you create jobs with good paychecks so the people who live here can afford better places to live. The problem with gentrification is that there are houses that probably should be redeveloped somehow, and so people come in and they buy the houses, they tear them down, they create this mansion, and the people next to them eventually move out. So I would create this park, get people from the northern part of Dallas down here, create jobs so people in the southern part of Dallas can afford better housing. That's what I would do.
When we have a set of candidates that are not willing to tell you about the big, magnificent economic development programs that are developed for Southern Dallas. One of the reasons that you have all of the incredible onslaught of nonprofit organizations and buses full of goodwill coming to South Dallas, that they're going to save people. When they're not willing to disclose these big, magnificent plans concerning the Trinity River, these big, magnificent plans concerning these big golf courses, when they're not willing to disclose to you what's going to happen when they're mayor and why they've got all that money, well, then you're headed for another council of corruption. They ought to be talking about this plan because they are deeply mired in these plans. And they're not here to discuss them with you. I am. I want to discuss those plans with you. I want to be the kind of mayor that you understand that one of the things that I'd be able to do is stop the exclusion of Dallas, Texas. And you're going to have more families like mine as I look at my 2 beautiful sons, my daughter, and my sister Cherry, that has been involved in the American Free Enterprise with me for the last 36 years. Let's stop believing we can fix it by giving out free lunches and start believing we can fix it about stop the exclusion of people in this beautiful free enterprise system that we have in Dallas, Texas.
Great cities invest in people, and we are at a tipping point. So let me give you a few facts and figures. First off, we have 100,000 children living in poverty. I mentioned to you at the outset that I was the chair of the Mayor's Task Force on Poverty, and we have neighborhoods of concentrated poverty. That is where the poverty is greater than 30% in every single city council district in Dallas. It is a situation in Dallas that it's one of economic issues. Half of Dallas earns less than $50,000. We have the lowest median income of any of the big cities in Texas. That is why my plan is going to be focusing in on economic opportunity, housing that is affordable, transportation that gets people to where they need to be, because we're an expensive city when we start talking about some of our infrastructure. In addition, we have to have a focus on education. 13% of Dallas has less than a ninth grade education. 48% of Dallas has less than a high school degree. We need to better use our resources to start the workforce training so that our people in Dallas can get the jobs that will ensure that their family is not living in poverty. What I have seen, not only as the chair of the task force, but also during this campaign, is this. People have moved to Dallas because they love this city. They know they have the opportunities for their children. They know they have the opportunities for their family. What we need to do in Dallas is eliminate the obstacles, create the opportunities, and that's how I am going to be focusing in as mayor of the city of Dallas. Creating those opportunities that ensure that we are and have a workforce capable and ready for the next jobs of the new millennium here in Dallas, Texas. Thank you.
Many of the issues that you're hearing about today are effects of the way we engineered this city over the course of a century. And unless we call out segregation for what it is and how we got to this point, we will never resolve these issues. So let's talk about that. 90 years of Jim Crow. 65 years of separate but equal. 35 years of racist housing and transportation policy. Until we reckon with the compounding moral debts owed to current and future citizens due to segregation and these man-made actions, our city will never be whole. James Baldwin once said, not everything that's faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. And we gotta start facing these challenges now. So how do we do it? Let's start focusing on education and bolster the education transformation happening right now. But I'll give you one tangible example. Let's push to universal pre-K in this city so that every kid, regardless of circumstances or where they live, has a high-quality start to their educational experience. Let's create a comprehensive housing policy that respects people from all across this city, making sure we put things like tax abatements in place, a housing trust fund, voluntary inclusionary zoning to expand affordable housing and close the 20,000 unit gap that we've got today. The first of its kind transportation policy that's comprehensive, so we stop asking DART to do for us and start telling them what to do for us. We can do these things, but it's going to take moral clarity, it's going to take vision, and it's going to take courage. We can do these things, but it'll take one city and all of us doing this together. That's how we'll solve these issues and pay up on that compounding moral set of debts.
I spoke about building for tomorrow, and I spoke about building bridges out of barriers. Some fabric in the city is older. The neighborhoods were built earlier. So hypothetically, you're going to go to a neighborhood that has some broken water and sewer, older fabric, older roads, broken roads. It may not have the proper zoning for the environment and the economy we're going into. It may not have the current jobs or the format that can bring investment or bank debt. These aren't hypotheticals. They're exactly what I found when I bought into the design district 10 years ago. And if you go look at it now, that $250 million is now $2 billion. That's tax base that does go to the schools, goes to early childhood, goes to police. The city of Dallas did not put any money into that. None. You can do this if you know how to do it. I know I'm the only one on the stage that's built water, sewer, roads, buildings, neighborhoods, and the park. A city is a sequence of neighborhoods. The quality of a city is the quality of the diverse neighborhood, the fabric of neighborhoods, and the ties that bind. And the ties that bind aren't always just highways. That's what it was when it was built 60 years ago as a suburban model. The mayor asked me to go build the Trinity Park, a private park. Think about the Nasher. Private money. It's the space between spaces. Those are the barriers. And if you can tie them together and build a park that fuses them together, that transcends those barriers, that ties the roads, the paths, and put the city together, that's the ties that bind. That's how you start rebuilding a city. That's how you bring jobs to people instead of continually trying to take people to jobs. When they do that, we will build a diverse fabric and a beautiful city.
We can unite Dallas by focusing on transportation, economic development, and housing. We know what has to be done on transportation. The city of Dallas contributes more than half the money to DART. And what has DART done over these last years? They've built the longest light rail system in America. It'll get you to Oklahoma, but it won't get you to Love Field. That needs to end. We need to tell DART they need to stop raising fares for our poorest residents. Return paratransit service. Prioritize bus service so that people can get to jobs. They can get to the grocery store. They can get to the pharmacy without a 4-hour wait. If we do those things, we can change DART for all this city. And we know what has to be done on housing. In 2015, when I was on the council, we did not have a comprehensive housing policy. I said in 2015, we are experiencing a housing crisis. We need a comprehensive housing policy to address it. And that's what I helped draft it. We identified that we need 20,000 units of housing today. We identified areas ready for redevelopment, areas that we need to protect from gentrification and rising taxes, and areas in the city of Dallas have been too long neglected with infrastructure. And now we have the programs, tools, and strategies, from tax abatements to a housing trust fund to inclusive zoning. Let's put these tools into action and change the housing in the city of Dallas. On economic development, for far too long, businesses coming down to southern Dallas, we give them tax abatements. And what do we not get in exchange? We don't get jobs. We don't get wages. Businesses coming to southern Dallas and throughout this city, if they accept our tax abatement money and our financial incentives, it's time that they hire people from the city of Dallas 50%, and it's time they pay $15 per hour. If we tackle these issues, housing, transportation, economic development, we will unite this city and make a much better Dallas. Thank you.
So we've got to start on focusing on basics. And basics is making sure that everyone's got smooth streets, everybody's getting their trash picked up. We've got code enforcement, so things like Shingle Mountain do not go on, that dogs are being policed, that people have got drainage. So if we can get those basic infrastructure piece, and then the public safety piece is shored up, then you start looking at public education. And I've been running an organization that invests in public education for girls that are underserved and first generation to go to college. And education is the way up and out of poverty. So if we can start to grow DISD in the positive trajectory that it's going, with programs like the Dallas Promise that has students in Oak Cliff and Madison High School and Pinkston High School graduating with an associate's degree so they can get a job and also a high school diploma, then we can start to move people out of poverty. So we've got to get the basics, the infrastructure, the police, and the public education and DCCCD all in unison. And if we do those things, then we can start talking about economic development. When we talk about economic development, it is about transportation. It's making sure that DART, that right now has got an 80% coverage plan, moves to a ridership and a service plan, that it does serve the people that are trying to take the DART. Then we start talking about developing housing. We need to be creative and talk about solutions that other cities are doing, like multi-income, multi-family housing, where you have mixed income developments next to places where people can have a job, they can have transportation, they can have walkability, they can have everything they need to have a good quality of life. So we've got to attract the basics, and then we've got to work on the economic development piece, and then that's how we start to bring the city together. Thank you.
Many of you have also asked about code enforcement. Seems like code enforcement in Dallas, you go through directors, the management changes, but frequently it winds up with the same problems. Things aren't always as good as they could be. And so a couple of different questions that kind of add up to this. How will you work with the Southern Sector Council members to deal with overwhelming code issues they're not taking care of? And another one that was sort of interesting that goes along the line of code enforcement is how about a grading system for apartment complexes like restaurants? So let's talk 60 seconds again now on code enforcement. Starting.
So with code enforcement, in my prior remarks, I referenced Shingle Mountain, and I don't know how many people followed Shingle Mountain, but by the time that whole Blue Cycle recycling was shut down, there were 18 different code violations. You had a family that was living next to asphalt shingles, breathing that in. I mean, that is something that is not acceptable. So we've got to have code enforcement, we've got to have a code office that follows strict guidelines, and we've again got to make things punitive for those that violate those codes. So we need to make sure that when there is the code enforcers that are going out and looking, that they are giving that citation, that it does mean something. I mean, if you let people are going to get away with what you let them get away with until you start to hold them accountable. And so you've got to hold people accountable by making sure that you have got something punitive, a fine that really does hurt, that signals we're not going to tolerate this. And it's not just things like Shingle Mountain. It's also things like making sure that trash is picked up, making sure that there's not big dumping. If the city doesn't come by to pick up the trash, then the big dump goes somewhere else. We've got to make sure that the code enforcement is thorough. And the idea of having a grading system is interesting. I had not thought about that, but that is interesting in terms of what would that metrics look like, what would the rubric look like, and I think that there's some meat there. Thank you.
Code enforcement is so important in Southern Dallas, and we all know the truth. The Department of Code at the City of Dallas is broken. One of the reasons we brought in T.C. Broadnax as the new city manager was to clean up some departments. He's already succeeded in cleaning up the housing department and the economic development department. It is now past time to clean up the code department. We know we make the calls to 311, and code goes out there, and they say the issue's resolved, but it's not resolved. You don't even think they went out there, they just close it. And it is the most frustrating experience for citizens as well as council members and everyone in this city. So with code, we need to send a message to T.C. Broadnax, the city manager, start over. It is broken, and we need to have a restart on that. And part two, what we need to do is we find people with dilapidated houses. Instead of just writing fine after fine after fine, introduce them to the City of Dallas programs we have to fix up their house. What sense does it make to continuously fine someone for paint when we have a program over here, a housing rehabilitation program, a revitalization program that can pay the money to fix it up? So let's have our code enforcement officers get active in that respect. So let's redo the department and keep in mind there's a carrot in addition to the stick, and we will change things. Thank you.
So we've had a lot of these forums, debates, whatever you want to call them, about 32, 33, and I missed one of them in Dolphin Heights. So I called and I went to the next Saturday morning meeting, went to the neighborhood meeting, and I went down there, and after Anna Hill gave me my tongue lashing for about 20 minutes, I sat there for the next 2 hours, and we had a code enforcement officer. And the next hour was the conversation. I will tell you this, his name was Jose. He was spectacular. He was conscientious. He gave everybody his card. He talked about the neighborhood. He talked about everything that was going on. He knew everybody in the neighborhood by name. When somebody was talking about a dog from the SPCA, he could tell you what house it came from. He was unbelievable. Now, there's a difference between organizational structure and good people. I'll say it again. We've got some great people. We need more people. We need a better structure, more resources. And if you want to do it in a zero-sum game, right? We have a limited amount of money. We're talking about hiring more police. We're talking about fixing potholes. You have to pay for it. You have to grow the job engine. You have to grow the economic engine. It's a balanced sum. We can do that. But I'm taking my time, almost in a defensive mechanism, to tell you, we've got some great people. Let's not throw them under the water. Let's fix the system for them too. They're our citizens also.
I've had the opportunity to meet many code officers as well, serving on the school board, going to many neighborhood associations in the district that I represent, and I agree, Mr. Avalon, that many of our code officials are doing the best that they can possibly do. But when they have systems that don't work for them, well, it makes their job even more difficult. For instance, we've talked a lot over the course of this mayoral campaign about how amazing it is now that we can do technology with 311, and you can go around, and if you've got an issue related to code, you can snap a picture of it, it goes directly to City Hall, and code should be out there able to address the issue. Here's the problem. Code doesn't get the picture. So you're taking the picture, but it's not getting to the officer. And so what ends up happening is they go and they code, they put a ticket on something, and sometimes it's not even on the right property. So then a person has to pay a ticket when they never had a code violation to begin with. We have to get our systems working more efficiently. City Hall is too siloed right now. And it's not just with code. It's with developers when they're trying to do business with the city and they just run up into this bureaucracy and red tape and they ultimately wipe their hands and leave. City Hall's got to start working for the people that it serves. And lastly, your mayor should be in your community to get a sense of what the code issues are themselves. So I'll create mayor's office hours, and once a month I will be in the community opening up my office to you to get a sense of what the issues are in your neighborhood and not making you have to come to City Hall to come see your mayor.
I have worked with many departments and agencies across Dallas in connection with some of the issues that I have done on behalf of some of these task forces. And it is the case that too many of the departments are incredibly siloed. They don't talk to each other. And part of that is the technology that we're using. And I'll give you an example of a city that has done something differently, and that's Las Vegas. They have an app that they just bring down onto the telephone, and it tells you, you put in your item, including for developers when they're trying to get a permit. And you'll know at every given moment where you are on it. Because here's what's happening right now. Too much gaming of the system. It's who you know that will get your work done faster. We need an objective kind of program, which is what I had mentioned at the outset, that we need to create. I will work closely with the city manager, T.C. Broadnax, on this issue, and I will work with your city council members as well, because your city council members are going to know your issues much better than I will as mayor. We need to start working more collaboratively together, breaking down the silos, and getting that objective kind of information so that we don't game the system. This is what has created many of the issues here in Dallas. It's who you know, and if you don't know, you won't get your work done. And that's where I promise to you to break that down, and certainly the silos. Thank you.
As citizens, if you would like to see better code enforcement in Dallas, Texas, and those poor citizens represented better, nothing will straighten out the matter better than a good old-fashioned lawsuit. Let me give you my experience. Citizens in High Plains, citizens that have the sufficient standard of living, they can get code, they can get police to respond to them. But in communities like Joppy and the Bottom, where my wife and I will drive around, talk to people, get out and walk around, go to citizens meeting, we hear this, it flooded, Albert, it flooded, Mr. Black. And where they dumped all the trash in our neighborhood, that trash came up with the water and it settled in our yard. Code came through and they fined us for the trash being in our yard. It brought tears to my eyes. It should bring tears to your eyes. You see, because they spend more defending themselves from code than they do on their cost of living. That's real. Those are true stories. The Dallas, Texas I live in can be better than that, but it can't be with the same kind of leadership that we've trusted before. It's time to make a change.
Let's face it, most of the code violations that we hear and read about happen in the southern part of Dallas, right? You don't read about many in the northern part of Dallas. And why is that? Because people in City Hall and the people in the northern part of Dallas don't care about the southern part of Dallas. The reason that the Shingle Mountain experience saw the light of day is because Dallas Morning News started running a series of stories on it. Those of us that were driving down Highway 310 and could see this mound building up said, what's going on there? But nothing happened. And the reason that it didn't happen is the zoning in that part of town actually allowed recycling shingles, recycling tires. The zoning allows that right next to where somebody lives. Zoning needs to change to reflect what that part of town should be and deserves to be. It needs to be a beautiful place to live that's protected from the industrial waste that goes on in that part of town. It's very easy to identify the boundaries of it. I-45 on the west, Highway 310 on the east, the Trinity River on the north, Interstate 20 on the south. That area needs to be a great place to live. And it can be a great place to live if the city would zone it the right way and then get people to come down there to live there so that when people complained about it, they would be listened to because they'd moved in from the northern part of Dallas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Several of you have pointed out that the job of mayor in Dallas is really not a very powerful job. The mayor is just one of the council members for the most part. They have a few extra powers, and maybe some of you have noticed that sometimes the council members don't all agree. They tend to bicker sometimes and argue about things. So I'm going to make the combination of a couple of these questions to each of you. What gives you the skill that you're going to be able to make all of those council members get along and get things done? And it's Mr. Smith's turn first.
Well, that's a tough one, and I can hardly wait to hear the answers. We're going to be getting to that one. The fact is that Dallas has what they call a council manager form of government. And the council manager form of government, the city council appoints the city manager, and the city manager then reports to all 15 of the city council members, and the mayor is one of those. The mayor has the ability to control the agenda at the city council meetings. And typically when we have an emergency, the mayor is the face of the city in that emergency. And those essentially that's a job description. It's a ceremonial position. It really is. And so in city council meetings, the way that the topics typically go is that you try to get a group of city council members before the topic comes up to have 8 votes. 8 votes will allow you to win. It's over half of 15. So the mayor's job is to use the power of the mayor's office, which is not very big, but it controls agenda and it controls discussion and it controls things that can happen in the city and things that can't happen. And so the mayor's job is really to bring all of these forces together to make sure that when these discussions are happening in city council, they're very public and the public has the ability to control what happens there. That's what I would do. Thank you.
I believed it when I retired from our company. I believed it when the divestment that we have in our company began. I believe that the mayor should be the moral leader of the council. I think the mayor has an opportunity to work from day one. From day one, to get a chance to know the council colleagues and to enable them in a way to be successful far beyond whatever historical reference that they may have been able to have. Too often we campaign on what I'm going to do on day one. I think that's wrong. I think what a mayor should do is understand the responsibility on day one to listen to the colleagues, to bring in the city manager and perhaps some top staff, begin to listen to them, and then ask the critical question that all leaders ask: what can I do to make you more successful at what you do? For those of you that may have known my 36-year career in civics or my 36th career in business, that's the approach that I've taken with good results. I think you'll have good results if you choose the next mayor because they think like that.
I mentioned to you early on about some of the experiences I have, and that is what I will be drawing upon, is the experiences that I've had across from business, from education, from also the nonprofit side, and also having served in this government as well. And that's the experience that's going to lead me to some of these issues that we've talked about that are going to bind us. Because one of the problems that has occurred over the last number of years down at City Hall is that there have been so many projects where it's just been an 8-7 vote, and that's what everyone is working on, is to get the 8 votes. And we've forgotten about the issues that we've just discussed over the last several minutes, the issues that are affecting you when you talk about code enforcement, when you talk about those little issues that are big issues to each one of you. That's my pledge to you, is to get the consensus around those issues. We cannot have 100,000 kids living in poverty. We cannot have neighborhoods of concentrated poverty sprouting up in so many of our areas. We can't have the lowest median income of any of the big cities in Texas. We have to get around these issues that are going to propel all of us from the bottom up. I will also tell you, I am not looking for anything else. I will not be running for another office. This is all I'm going to be focusing on. I will not have a second job either. This is the job that I'm looking for. I don't need it for my resume, and that will give me the opportunity to not have some of the other political issues that others might have in the City Hall. Thank you.
Having served now for over half a decade on the Dallas Independent School District Board of Trustees, I've had to learn quite a bit about bringing people together through divisive times and issues to move our city forward. In DISD, we are a carbon copy government of City Hall. The government runs exactly the same way. I'm just trading pre-K for potholes now. Now, it wasn't always easy in DISD. When I decided I wanted to run at the age of 27, I had people tell me not to do it. They've heard this before. I did it anyway. They said, Google Dallas School Board and hit news. I did. There were some interesting stories. They said, you'll lose all your hair. I lost it all. But I learned how to bring people together. And on day one, at City Hall, what I'll do is work to build the relationships necessary to get the levers of government moving, get the wheels of government moving. My 100-day plan will start by getting to know each council member and seeing their districts through their eyes, asking them to bring me along on ride-throughs and get a sense of the issues that they ran on and how they were delivered to office. We'll get a good mayor pro tem in place and a good deputy mayor pro tem in place. We'll set our committee agenda and structure in a way that will allow the city's agenda to move forward. I'll build a strong relationship with TC Broadnex, and I'm not starting from scratch, having already chaired commissions for the city appointed by Mayor Rawlings as well. You need someone on day one who has the experience getting results at the local level and local government dealing with local politics, because this isn't easy stuff. I'll be that mayor for you, and we'll get that going the first day in this administration.
Similar to Miguel's comment about the school district, I typically talk about being a developer for the last 2 decades. I talk about how in something like the design district, you have to figure out how to take 12 jurisdictional entities and put them together. I talk about the park and how that was a multiplicity of very complicated entities, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. Something was said that really bothers me. Mr. Smith said the people in the north don't care about the people in the south. Mr. Smith said the mayor's job is ceremonial, and I disagree with both of them tremendously. You cannot say that any constituent doesn't care about any constituent. And if somebody said the South doesn't care about the North, I'd argue that also. It's divisive. What's the number one rule? What's the number one goal? The responsibility of the mayor is to get rid of divisiveness, to create a common demeanor. It isn't ceremonial, it's a mandate. It's an ethical mandate, it's a moral mandate. That's not okay, and it's not okay to say on this stage, I'm not here because I don't like people, I'm here because I love my citizens. I don't care if you're tall or short or left-handed, right-handed, and I can tell you, I think I speak for all these other people too, it's not just me. The mayor's job is to set a moral standard and to call wrong being wrong.
At City Hall, in our strong city manager form of government, the mayor has the power to set the agenda, a huge power. The mayor has the power to set the committee structure. And the mayor has the power to build consensus. And that's what I intend on doing. I know as a council member who's been on Dallas City Council for 8 years, winning votes and losing votes, you have to have a thick skin and a big heart. You take a vote and you move on. And it is the best way to do things. Because the reality is, over 90% of the time, the votes are 15-0. Only about 10% of the time is there a split in the vote. And I know how to work through that and mend fences afterwards. I'll give you an example. When I arrived to the Dallas City Council, I lost vote after vote after vote on the Trinity toll road. 12-3. 12-3 loss. 12-3 loss. And what do we end up doing? We killed the Trinity toll road in a 14-1 vote. That's how you get things done. Other big votes like that where we had to build consensus. It's hard to believe, but 6 years ago we were going to bring in dangerous gas drilling. We built a coalition and stopped that. This last time, believe it or not, we had a fight about raising police and fire pay from $48,000 to $60,000. On that one, I built a consensus against the mayor and 2 very powerful council members, and we won that vote. But the next day, we're all friends. That afternoon after the vote, we're all friends. That's what you have to do at City Hall. Have a big heart and a thick skin, and you get everything done for the people in the city of Dallas. Thank you.
So for the past 25 years in Dallas, I've been leading teams, serving on teams that have been tackling some of Dallas's toughest issues. There's nothing easy about being on a team or leading a team that's going to help victims of domestic violence, that's going to help girls that have been trafficked from 10 to 17, that's going to help the homeless, or is going to remove barriers to college for kids that are underserved. I have an ability to collaborate and listen and get things done. I've worked with all different stakeholder groups, from nonprofit, grassroots, to business, to philanthropists, to get them aligned behind a vision and a mission and getting it done. You know, one of the things that's come up in this race many times is she strong enough to lead? Can she lead? Let me tell you, I've got 25 years of leading on difficult issues. I can lead. I'm ready to lead. Also, 30 years ago, was part of building a biotech company. I was employee 74 of a company that's now 1,000 people, and it's the leader in genomic research. I was a member of that team, and from that, I was brought along with the other leadership, and I'm proud that we grew that team to be as successful as it is today. So I have the business experience, I've got the leadership experience, I'm a collaborative leader that listens and get things done. That's what we need right now in City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask one last question, and then we will have closing statements. We'll be just a few minutes after 8, but we started a little late. So the last question I'm going to ask is a summary of many of what you all have asked about street repair. People want to know how the city is going to tackle this, infrastructure problems in general, where many of the older neighborhoods have more of this problem than others do, but it's a big problem across our city. So how will we tackle this? And we'll start with Linda.
That's good. So right now we have $550 million in bond and general fund money that needs to be pushed out. We're in a constant repair state with our roads right now. We're not in maintenance, it's just repair, repair, repair. So last fall there was an infrastructure maintenance plan that was adopted that systematically talks about the time frame that we will push out those voted upon bond dollars and get them out so that we do become more of a maintenance structure. One of the things that we've also got to do is we sit here and we think about the roads. We've got to think about alternative forms of transportation. We need to think about getting our DART working for us so that we don't have as much wear and tear on the roads because people are abandoning their cars. We need to think about shoring up sidewalks and giving people opportunities to walk, to ride bikes, to ride scooters. We need to think about bike lanes and things that are, again, going to get us out of the cars. Yes, we need to invest in the basics, the roads, the potholes, the drainage, the things that make the roads go bad, but we also need to think about alternative transportation because I know that people are not wanting to drive as much these days. I have a niece at 16. She doesn't want to get her driver's license. She doesn't care. She does Uber. She does Lyft. We couldn't wait to get our driver's license. So we need to think about what that mobility piece is going to look like down the road, and it's not going to be as car-centric. So we need to align our city so that it is not built for the car. Thank you.
As mayor, I will ensure that we fix our streets right the first time. Today, when we put out street contracts, we give them out to low bid. Does everyone know what happens? You've seen it in the Bishop Arts District with Texas Standard and all around Oak Cliff and Dallas. Change order after change order after change order after change order. The price goes all the way up through the ceiling, and the work takes forever. We need to change to a best value bid process, where we not only look at the price, but we look at the reputation of the contractor. Why do we keep giving contracts to bad contractors? It needs to stop. It's because we're giving them the low bid. And number 3, let's tie our contractors to a calendar. If they can't finish the work on time, let's financially penalize them. And another issue. Who's seen our work on our streets the next week? The water department comes through and tears up the street, don't they? Or Atmos comes in there. We need a council ordinance that says the street department is going to talk to the water department. They're going to call Atmos and make sure this street is not going to get torn up again after we fix it. This will save us millions of dollars a year, and more importantly, thousands of hours of your time that you sit in traffic. And beyond that, it's time to get the bond money moving. In 2017, Because we had 1998 bond money hanging around, we said that is enough. We set out a plan to spend all the bond money in 5 years. And we set up a website, if you haven't visited, gis.dallascityhall.com/bonds. You can see all the bond projects in the district and see them get them done. And that is how we're going to improve our street work. Changing the way we do the contracts and continue with transparency. Thank you.
As a trained civil engineer, I know how to build roads, and as an architect, trained and licensed, I know how to build cities. But I'm not going to talk about that. I want to talk about the question that was asked, which is how are we going to do this? That's not a quick question. That's the long question. In 60 seconds, I'm going to paint one idea. Dallas was really built as a post-World War II city in a suburban model. We all know that. We also all know that we're going to urban densities in specific places. If you want to control your costs and have the money to fix the roads, we need to focus on where that money goes to look at the way the world is changing. We're going to a hybrid model as a city from suburban with urban nodes. Those are specific areas of density. If you put money into the main corridors and prioritize in that form, I don't mean highways, I mean your secondary and tertiary city streets, and you get to those density nodes, you're going to balance out your capacity on a long term. You heard we had $550 million in bonds. Our need is $5 billion. That's 10%. We're chasing a bus, guys. So what are we going to do? If you don't change the way you prioritize where you spend your money, we will perpetually be chasing a bus. It isn't just a contract. It isn't just putting out the bond money. It's how you understand how cities grow and how we lay it out. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I've been trained to do.
Well, you certainly know that over the course of the mayoral campaign, this is not the first time we've been asked this question. And having had to serve in municipal government dealing with bonds, it usually ends up being that I get to say some good ideas before Scott says good ideas, or Scott says them before I do. Scott, I've never seen someone get more excited about change orders than you. And I know why, because it is a big issue in City Hall and in DISD. So we certainly need to make sure that these bond monies that we are allocating are actually being used in the right way. We need to hold contractors accountable if they are not going to get the work done on time and hopefully under budget. But let's go a step further. Yeah, we need our city institutions to talk better to each other when we're talking about roads. But how many of you live in a community that's being developed like crazy? And how many of those contractors with those new developments are tearing up your roads just as bad? We need to hold them accountable as well. And if they're going to construct a new city in our communities, with our neighborhoods that we love, they're going to take care of our roads as well. And we will hold them accountable as well. Lastly, even if we had all the bond money that we just passed in 2017 allocated to streets, that would simply be a percentage of what we ultimately need. So we need to figure out long-term revenue streams we can inject into street construction and reconstruction. And we should think about tapping into $750,000 in the federal government to study things like private contracts at Love Field, so we can inject new revenue into our streets and ultimately get the money we need to make everybody's street great.
You've heard of the experience of some of the folks here on the municipal side. Well, I was the vice chair of the DFW Airport Board and served there 6 years and chaired the operations committee. And I was mystified when I heard some of these issues that I have been hearing so frequently across our city. Why are we not holding the contract administrators that we pay their salaries and that work for TC Broadnax on this? Why is it that all of us have so much better ideas on how we sequence? Why is it that so many of us have ideas understanding that the materials that they're using are not what we need for our city? Think about that. The times that you have seen, and we know it gets hot in Dallas, Texas, yet you'll see in the summertime some of these roads that start melting and you get that black tar on your cars or as you step out. How can this be? So here's how I'm going to change this. We're going to talk with TC Broadnax, and we're going to bring TC Broadnax in, and we are going to have a big discussion on how the contract administration is working in the city of Dallas. And then we are going to start bringing those, just like we did at the DFW airport, as on-contract items every single week, because we can do it weekly there, it's on a monthly basis. And then we're going to have these contract administrators come in and explain to us how is it that they are or are not getting the work done. We need to hold our staff accountable for this instead of our coming up with these solutions for everyone as to what they need to do. That's the kind of experience that we need to bring and start saying we can't just do it from the elected position. Let us see where these people that we are paying salaries get their work done. Thank you.
I understand the question is about how do you get the streets fixed. I want to go through some things. Pension fund, housing plan, door transportation, $15 an hour, family leave, council member corruption, code enforcement, low wages, bond money, and then fixed streets. What you have in common is a mayor that hadn't been committed to these things enough to have the kind of stick-to-itness, compassion for people, passion to make sure that they're dogmatic about it, their willingness to get angry when people are not treated right. We haven't had that. And we've had a council member in District 1 that has been there, and it's time for us to ask the question, as a resident of District 1, I am asking the question that if you were there all of this time, 8 years, why weren't you more influential in these particular issues that affected so many people's lives? And why on earth should we believe that you're going to have the magnificent leadership required now to get the job done? I don't believe that. I hope you won't either.
Well, the question was about fixing streets and specifically potholes. So let's figure out why are the streets all torn up? Well, one reason is that people have chosen to live a long way from where they work. And why do they do that? Because they think they have better quality of life out in the suburbs. And whether they're right or not, who knows? But a lot of people think that. Jobs are in the downtown area, they live outside downtown. So how do you fix that? Well, one way is to build this 12,000-acre Trinity Nature Park and redevelop the land that is right next to the nature park. We've identified 4 different low-end industrial areas that would be right next to the park. One of them is just west of Mike's Design District. There's a low-end industrial area there. Next is east of the convention center in what they call the Cedars area. Third is just north of here, right along the levee area. A lot of old industrial buildings there on 8th Street. And the fourth is down there where I talked about earlier, where Highway 310 and Interstate 45 border the area. If you drive through all of those areas, you'd say it can't be any better. Why would anybody want to live here? If you're living right next to the largest urban nature park in the country, this bigger and better than Central Park, New York, why wouldn't you want to live there? And so that's what we would do. Create a better quality of life, get people with reason to move back into downtown so they wouldn't need a car. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We've had a lot of good questions. All of you had a lot of good ones. We could keep going for a very long time with more issues, but I think we summarized a lot of the things that you've cared about. So let's see if we can get them to sum it up for us here and close it out. 1 minute from each of you. And Mr. Smith, you'll be first. This is the luck of the ballot draw that decided how they're going to go here. So, Mr. Smith, if you'll go.
Well, hopefully you know what I'm going to talk about. Thank you. Well, I am a person that cares a lot about nature. You know, they call me the nature guy. I wear this funny hat so that you'll remember me from this T-shirt I've got on, the funny hat. And the reason that I'm willing to go out on a limb to look kind of foolish up in front of these very distinguished-looking people is that I think this city does need to become Nature City USA. I'm the board chair of a nonprofit that is getting the certification for Nature City USA. And we intend to do that because we want to award the first Nature City USA designation to the city of Dallas. And how would Dallas qualify? Well, they would take the 12,000 acres that it owns, make a nature park out of it. You don't have to spend much of any money there. If you go down where I go, the trails are there. You've got a nature center at the Trinity River Audubon Center. There are canoe launches all up and down the Trinity River. There's a nature park there already. We just need to get a mayor that is willing to say, let's label this thing what it is, Trinity Nature Park, and then go out to the world, get the national park designation, create a nature-based tourism industry here, bring jobs here, and improve the quality of life of everybody. And that's what I'll do when I'm mayor. Thank you.
My name is Albert Black, and I have had a wonderful time with the 34 forums that we've had so far. It's given me an opportunity to introduce you to me, but more importantly, to introduce you to my family, Cora, Trey, Oliver, and the rest of them. You see, I want them to have a life that I had 30 years ago. You see, Dallas, Texas is not filled with the opportunity today than it was 30 years ago when great civic leaders, the ones that wanted to create opportunities of change, took bold steps and allowed me to step with them in order for them to give the nation a better view of our city, a better view of our city. And now we have regressed. We have regressed back into that kind of attitude that says that we've got council members that can talk to you about major projects like the Bishop Arts area. And when I asked the question, name me one African American you know employed over 50 people because of such magnificent construction in Dallas, the answer has been none. We have got to change that, team, or we will never be the great city that can care about education, health care, and all the other matter legitimately. We will only be divided and wondering why we can't come together.
I have big dreams for Dallas, and I know that together, working together, we can achieve those dreams. It's the dreams of the people who have come to Dallas knowing that their children are going to do better than they. It is the dreams of people knowing that they're going to have the opportunities that they can't find in other cities. I know I've had those kinds of dreams, and I've been able to succeed because we focused in on the issues that some of us have said are small issues, but they're big issues to each one of you. I want us to ensure that we have an education that is a quality education for our children. I want to have more housing that is affordable, a transportation system that works for all of us. I want the economic opportunity that will grow all of our city together, north, south, east, west. It shouldn't matter about the zip code. We need a mayor that is experienced, that has gone through these issues and has worked with people across the city, creating those kinds of opportunities, changing our child poverty rate from 38% in the city to 31% by working and breaking down the silos and working with people across the city. That's the kind of leader that we're going to need because we have so many tipping point issues affecting us. My name is Regina Montoya, and I am running for mayor of Dallas. The election is May the 4th. Early vote starts in 2 weeks. I ask for your support, for your vote, and if you have any questions, www.reginamontoya.com. It's been an honor to be with all of you this evening.
I started off by mentioning to you that I'm the grandson of immigrants that came to this country seeking the American dream. And I'm standing in front of you today, having served as a Dallas school teacher, central administrator, and been an elected representative representing you since 2013. And I think about the experiences that my family had that allowed me the chance to be here in front of you today, potentially being your next mayor of Dallas. And additionally, perhaps the first Latino of Dallas in the history of this city. That only happens because there was an infrastructure of opportunity that existed for my family. And it doesn't exist enough for families in our city today. We have a booming economy, the lowest unemployment rate we may have ever had. But we have children mired in poverty who are looking for adults that are going to step up and lead for them today. This race is about experience. But for my generation, we don't have time anymore to build up the resume, to get those fancy positions, and then run for mayor 20 or 30 years from today. We've got to step up today and lead our city together, taking two cities and turning them into one. I want to be your mayor because I've got that experience getting results at the local level. But I also implore to you that I can't do it alone. As your mayor, I will bring the city together, but I'm going to lean on you to help us get the job done. My name is Miguel Solis. I hope I can count on your support. Visit us at miguelformayor.com. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. This won't take 60 seconds. Let's start off with a promise of opportunity for our kids, for Dallas. I said I would stick with the ideas and you would hear them come through in every comment. Together. Reaches out of barriers. Build for tomorrow today. There's a sense of urgency of the moment. There really is. Trust and ethics, ethical reform. Together. One Dallas. One Dallas. That isn't just geographic. It's the heart of the city. I've enjoyed being here. I'll stay afterwards. I'd love to talk to anybody. My name is Mike Avalon. It's www.mikeavalon.com. Pretty fancy. And I'd love to hear your thoughts either tonight or afterwards. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great evening. Hope to talk to you afterwards.
Thank you to Cliff Temple, to Brent, to your whole team that set this up. Thank you very much. As I said, my name is Scott Griggs, and it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. And thank you so much for your attention this evening. I am running to be the next mayor of the city of Dallas, based on my experience and leadership. I'm a lifelong Dallasite who loves this city. We can talk about transportation. Together we killed the Trinity toll road and we brought back the streetcar. And on day one, I'm ready to address our streets. I'm ready to address DART. On housing, I helped draft the comprehensive housing policy. And on day one, as your mayor, I will put it into action to address the shortage of 20,000 housing units in the city of Dallas. I recognize the economic disparity in this city. On day one, I'm ready to start the work on an economic development policy that will bring more jobs to the city of Dallas and bring higher wages. On day one, we can get these things done. On day one, we can have a new kind of mayor that will bring this city together and return power to the people of the city of Dallas. We recognize that for far too long, we have been a city that's just been a postcard. It is time to be a city that is about the people. Let's have a city of Dallas that works for the people. Let's have a city that works. Please visit GriggsForDallas.com to learn more. And please pick up the literature. Just as I've been your council member for 8 years and all of you have had my cell phone number is on my mayoral literature. I want everyone to have access to their mayor in the city of Dallas. And I'm ready to be your mayor. Thank you so much.
I'm Lynn McBee, and it's been an honor to be with you this evening. I started out telling you that I grew up in a small town in South Texas where you love your neighbor because you want to make sure that they've got the best quality of life possible. I told you about being part of building a biotech company. I told you that I run a statewide organization that helps first-generation underserved girls get to and through college, breaking cycles of poverty. I also shared with you that I've been working over 25 years in Dallas on some of its most critical and challenging issues like domestic violence, human trafficking, homelessness, and my work with the Dallas County Community College District, where we really are hooking people up with jobs and again, moving people out of poverty. I've been parts of teams, I've worked at the grassroots volunteer level, and I've led teams. Right now, we need collaborative leadership that listens. I have a history over the last 25 years of being collaborative, of working with all different stakeholder groups behind strong missions and visions and getting things done. The mission and vision that I have for this city is to make sure that everybody's got the best quality of life. So I'd be honored to be your mayor. I take that small town sensibility that I have of making sure that you're taking care of people and getting things done. The election is May 4th. Early voting is April 22nd. My website's lynnmcbee.com. Please check out my website. I'll stay after and want to answer every question that you have. It's been an honor to be with you tonight. I want to thank y'all for hosting us, and also want to thank the moderator. Mike Avalon usually does that, but I'm going to do that tonight. We will thank the moderator, and thank y'all for coming out.
Thanks for all the good questions. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on NBC DFW. Good night.
Hey guys, you see how that worked? Just hit record the whole thing, and with no worries, and there you go. Once again, this app is on the Google Play Store and the Apple's iTunes. If you have any questions, just comment in the video below. In the future, also happy voting. Mayor's elections and city council elections are coming up.